fact, the best news of the day has been the fact that in Assam, in the 5 constituencies there, and Tripura has also seen very good voting. In the 5 constituencies in Assam, if I'm not mistaken, the number is somewhere going to end up around 75% voting. That's the best news of the day. Now, the other big story has been the BJP manifesto. We've been talking about it. We talked about the development issues, economic promises, unemployment, subsidies, etc. Now let's go back to the politics, and I'd like to welcome the panelists as I introduce this panel. And I'm very happy that MJ Akbar makes a comeback on the Newshour. I'd like to see that as an endorsement of his enjoying the debate. I won't be presumptuous about him.
Done.
Because yes, thank you. Sudhindra Kulkarni is also looking forward to the debate. Pawan Verma of the JDU. Gaurav Bhatia, welcome. Ami Agnik of the Congress Party, welcome. Pawan Verma, there are 2 ways of looking at it. One is that as far as the Ram Temple issue is concerned, it's not like 1998 when they did not mention it in the NDA. They were the NDA then. They've abridged it. That's one way of looking at it, and someone like you, who would be described as a pseudo-secularist by MJ Akbar, perhaps should be happy that it's been abridged. The other way would be to say that no, they have made another mention which says that India shall remain a natural home for persecuted Hindus. Not persecuted Sikhs, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, persecuted Hindus. And persecuted Hindus will be welcome to seek refuge here, which seems to be a bit of a contradiction with the established fact that India is a secular state, does not discriminate between religions. In your view, has the BJP gone more hardline in terms of its core issues or less in this manifesto?
Arnab, first let me congratulate you on your indefatigable stamina for discussing the BJP manifesto.
Well, even the Congress manifesto.
No one else could have done it.
No, I have discussed the Congress manifesto too. Thank you for that backhanded compliment.
I just want to pay you a compliment.
Thank you.
Arnab, I mean it. I mean it sincerely. Since you've been discussing the manifesto, Arnab, I want to just put five points for you. They will take 30 seconds. So that the debate opens up and perhaps some of them can be answered.
Fine.
Firstly, Arnab, let's admit, and it's true also that the Congress's performance on governance and development and other issues has been suboptimal.
Fine.
But today the BJP has offered for the last few weeks through their supreme leader the possibility and the promise of converting India into a swarg in the next 5 years, a veritable heaven. So I want to see the BJP manifesto from this point of view I want to ask sincerely, please give me one new refreshing idea in the manifesto which goes beyond a statement of intent and provides even cursorily a roadmap towards deliverables. Because it is in keeping with somewhat the campaign of the Supreme Leader of making promises but not being
Name
available
him. Why do you keep referring to him as Supreme Leader?
The second point is, I think that's what he is, Arnab. Thirdly, there is a part of that manifesto, Arnab, which has an ideological content. I'll come to the Ram Mandir. Give me a second only. It talks all the time of the exaltation of the state. India first, Bharat Shresh.
What's wrong?
Which is nothing wrong with it. But I want to just pose a question. Whether in the somewhat jingoistic exaltation of the state, is the BJP manifesto shutting out space for legitimate affirmative action for the weakest and poorest sections of the people sanctioned by the Constitution?
Okay, fine. Now MJ Akbar responds. No, MJ Akbar responds. No, let him. You said 30 seconds. You've taken 4 times as much
for the
time.
Debate. No. I've taken 20 seconds, Arnab. I just want to raise an issue. On the Ram Mandir, which you began with, the Hindutva agenda, I just want to say that it has been a very, very clever camouflage attempt to hide the Hindutva agenda under the garb of governance and development, because if you look at it,
Okay.
not only have the old issues been resurrected, new ones have been added. There is 370, there is Uniform Civil Code, there is Ram Mandir, now there is cow slaughter, there is reformation
That's
of
not
the
a new
madrasa
issue. That's not a
system
new issue. That was
without
always
any
there.
mention of it being
That
a
was always there. No.
without any mention of
No, on cows, it was
without
always
any
there.
mention of a consensual exercise. And lastly, we needed much more on center-state relations.
You've added,
This
I
country is
asked you
looking
one
forward
pointed
to
question.
a more
Pawan
well-defined federal
Verma, Pawan Verma, it's a very interesting tack. I compliment you also. That I ask you a pointed question, you say I'll give you a pointed reply, you take 30 seconds, you put me on the back foot. And then you proceed to enumerate about 7 points in about 5 times as much time. I asked a question on the Ram temple. I request my MJ Akbar to be pointed. Now, MJ Akbar, almost in an embarrassed manner, a cursory reference to the Ram temple, fine. But where did this come in from? India is a home for persecuted Hindus. India should be a home for persecuted people from all religions.
Arnab, by the way, on the issue of Article 370 as well as on the Ram temple, the manifesto makes one thing very, very clear, that issues that have been the source of conflict should have conflict resolution by consensus. On Article 370, all the stakeholders will give the views and then we'll form a consensus. On the Ram temple issue, which is very, very clear, that it will be through the constitutional process. We are in a democracy.
But has there been a dilution?
The Ram temple actually has a history which is what is stated today is the position that is the position of the present and the future.
Not the
Ram
past.
temple has been around with us for 150 years.
Not the past.
150 years.
It's a world of difference from 1998.
Every party has a past. I mean, we can't forget that the first time puja was done at Ayodhya was under Jawaharlal Nehru, and the Shilanyas was done by Rajiv Gandhi. We are trying to find a future, and a future within the democratic space, with the democratic
What about
spirit.
this other one which you...
And
which
therefore,
you
I think it is
MJ Akbar,
very
you
important.
duck it?
I
haven't known you to be a person who ducks.
I really do want Arnab.
I haven't known you to be a person who ducks.
No, 1 minute. May I first, play this one sort of straight, which is that, it's on page 42 or 43. Each time we think of Hindu-Muslim questions, I'm a little saddened by the fact that we only think of issues of violence. On page 17 of the manifesto is something that is far more important, at least as far as I'm concerned, which is where the problems of minorities have been dealt in real terms, which is education, jobs.
Nobody's
the
contending on
modernization
that.
of madrasas.
That's not an issue of contention.
No, modernization of madrasas.
The issue of contention
the
you
promotion
duck.
of Urdu.
You duck the issue of contention. The issue of contention is I draw your attention,
No.
MJ Akbar, to where the part goes about guiding principles of our foreign policy. And in that, tucked away in a line,
Sorry?
I take you to the part which talks about guiding principles of foreign policy. Please see the manifesto. Mr. MJ Akbar, you'll see it there.
Yes.
In that, tucked away in one line, please, is one line which says, India shall remain a natural home for persecuted Hindus. Now, I am asking you today, please, you are a secularist, a man who believes the BJP does not discriminate on the basis of religion. Why did you say persecuted Hindus? And if you feel I am wrong, correct me.
You know
but
why?
My reading is that this is there. Why Hindus? Was that aimed at Nagpur?
You know why? Arnab, shall I tell you why? And let me give you the real answer. In 1947, the population of minorities in Pakistan was 20%. I remember when my book Blood Brothers was released in Pakistan, very proudly they informed us that the population of minorities in Pakistan had gone down to 2%.
No, but why didn't you? No, you are not talking here about Hindu migrants from Pakistan.
Yes.
You are saying India is a home for persecuted Hindus. Now, I find, by saying that, Let's get a third view. Let's get a third view. Ami Agnik, what do you think? By saying that, you describe how will a person from a Muslim community or Sikh community or Jain community, right, or a Christian community, or a Buddhist community,
by the way,
believe how is the BJP feeling?
By the
discriminating on the basis of religion so openly in its manifesto?
From Afghanistan, the number of refugees from Afghanistan is also very high.
But the reference
coming under Mr. Vajpayee's governance.
Is there a reference to geography in this? MJ Akbar? There's only a reference to religion that I see. Is there a reference to geography, Sudhindra Kulkarni? Was there a mistake in your view? Was this part a mistake? Sudhindra Kulkarni, was this a mistake?
No,
does it take away from the overall?
The reason is, Arnab, is because India is the only country with a substantial number of Hindus.
Why? No, that does not make us a Hindu state. Come on, MJ Akbar, sir. That does not make us a Hindu state.
There is no way we are not a theocratic state.
Then why did you add this line throughout the line?
Absolutely not.
Disown the line.
Because of a certain reality of this is the fallout of partition.
But the reality
has not yet been sorted out.
No, you are saying okay.
Do you know that? I don't want to, but I would rather go back to the Liaquat Nehru resolution of 1950. What did the Liaquat Nehru resolution of 1950 say?
Mr. Akbar,
this is what the solution was found.
Mr. Akbar, the point is simply this. The point is this, and I must. This is a point of contention, Mr. Akbar, because if you raise the issue of geography, I can equally argue in another context. Let's get Sudhindra Kulkarni, Ami Agnik. Say we disagree on this. Let's get the others in on this. Okay, because see, the BJP will always be under a scanner for whether you're reflecting in your deeds, thoughts, actions or manifestos any bias towards a religion. You've been accused of it by Pawan Verma. Now the question is, did the BJP express equal concern over the violence directed at the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar? That's also a neighboring country. Where they are religious minority by Buddhists. So is discrimination of Muslims by Buddhists in our geographical region not something we should be concerned about? Then we should also be a home for them. So that's just a point of contention. Now, may I get you in, please? Mr. Akbar, let's hear other views on this. Sudhindra Kulkarni, this particular point, your response.
This particular point was certainly avoidable in the BJP manifesto. As a responsible political party, especially a party that claims to govern India for the next 5 years, so let's see whether it happens or not. But a responsible party would say that there should be no persecution, no injustice to religious minorities, either in India or in any of our neighboring countries, be they Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists. That is the right approach to take.
So what would you say to MJ? MJ is defending it in a certain geographical context.
No, they should not have been reference only to Hindus
in the
BJP manifesto.
They made a mistake.
This is not supportable.
Well,
but I want to make a broader point, if you permit me. See, this manifesto, if you read it cover to cover, which I have done, has many good points and also certain weak points. The weak point is that even though it says that for the BJP, the Constitution of India is the only epic, and that's only epic. They regard the Constitution of India as, let's say a sacred text.
Sure.
But the preambular principle of the Constitution is secularism.
Where have they violated that?
There is no mention of secularism in the entire manifesto.
No mention? Does it need to be mentioned?
Of course it has to be mentioned.
No mention of secularism.
It has to be mentioned.
It has to be mentioned.
It has to be mentioned. Nevertheless, I agree with MJ that the section on minorities is something very welcome.
Do you need to mention the fact that we are a democracy?
We have to mention.
We have to mention fundamental rights.
Arnab, why a political party, a responsible political party, has to pledge its commitment to the basic principles.
Come on, I think you're narrow focusing.
No.
You see a conspiracy there?
I'm mentioning something that has not come into the debate, Arnab, which is very important. In the manifesto, for the first time, the BJP says that we shall establish a consultative mechanism for interfaith harmony, which is a welcome point.
Yes.
There is also a lot of mention on economic, social empowerment of Muslims, which also is welcome.
Yes.
Having said it, there seems to be some ideological confusion on the secularism.
So you're saying here that they are trying to make some right noises, but it's not driven by the sheer force of conviction. If that force of conviction had been there, your argument is, then there would have been a direct reference to secularism. This reference to India being a natural home for persecuted Hindus would not have been there, and therefore, MJ Akbar, listen to the strain of the argument. You're trying too hard, but it's not coming from the force of your conviction. Ami Yagnik, your response, two very interesting arguments there from MJ Akbar, Sudhindra Kulkarni, Pawan Verma. Gaurav Bhatia, I'll come to you. Ami Yagnik.